Oh, happy Friday. I know. I'm doing a pop-up in the middle of the day. It's different from us. Normally we're doing Saturday at late at night. But I got something I want to talk about for a minute. I know, and it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre Day. Uh, but I want to talk about this because it's just sitting on my head here for a couple of days, and I just want to share my thoughts about it. Um, as some of you guys may know, we had Sandy Johnson on the Eight Questions Swiss show, and I'll put that link there, or you can just find it. It's right there next to this. Um, and one of the questions I asked her is Michael human or supernatural? And her answer actually is the right answer, and she said both. He's a little bit of both, and it absolutely makes sense. Um, because it's like it's not one or the other, but it is both. Michael Myers has been terrorizing, the Halloween franchise since 1978, and he has been played in various ways. But the one question has always come up as, can he be stopped? Now we already know other icons um, so far have not, because they're supernatural in origin. Jason Voorhees, um, Freddy Krueger, Hellraiser, Pinhead, and Hellraiser. I mean, they're all supernatural, and they don't make any bones about it. That this is what they are. But Michael Myers, probably along with Ghostface, uh, is is the most human. It has human origins. Michael Myers killed his older. He was a child. He was a child. He grew up. He killed his sister when he was a child, when he was 12 years old, and then he grew into a man. So obviously he just Whereas Jason Voorhees, that's a good question too. How did he get to the size that he got? Uh, but he has been established as supernatural. Um, Freddy Krueger, he's supernatural. Chucky, he is. They clearly established all the characters as being unstoppable, and supernatural. You can't kill them by any mortal means. Um, but Michael Myers is a little different, right? He is a little different. He's a big different, actually. But this is my thought, and it's going to tie into another movie. I think he was human I think he was human up to a certain point. I think he was human in Halloween 1 and 2, and that's it. I think after the second movie, and this may seem totally off canon, but is it? I think this is my theory because it makes sense. How does a guy go from being a mere mortal to supernatural? Where are the ties at? Where are the ties to that at? I think we all know that we're really, if we think about it, it makes sense. Hey, Mr. Bones, if we really think about this, how did he go from point A to point B, right? He gets shot in the chest 6 times, he gets his eyeball hurt, in the first movie. The second movie, he's more unstoppable, but he's still Michael Myers. He's still the shape. Or better yet, he's Michael Myers and he has not become the shape yet. And here's my theory about Michael Myers and why he's unstoppable. I think the Silver Shamrock Company is behind it. It's the only logical place in the whole franchise where that could have happened. Now, yes, Halloween 3 was supposed to be, part of an anthology. They're supposed to moving forward, where every Halloween there'd be a different movie coming out, different story, but that didn't happen. But let's go back to the Silver Shamrock, and before you dismiss this, what if they got a hold of Michael Myers after Halloween 2? And because they already established in Halloween 3 that they were using supernatural means to create the mask, the Silver Shamrock mask, that were killing all the kids. So it's already been established that they already had the ways and the means to do this. Why not do Michael Myers the same way? I mean, Halloween 3, it didn't really show, I'm sure this maybe Silver Shamrock got stopped. Didn't show that at the end of the movie. It showed like it was open ended. We don't know if everybody was seeing the commercial got zapped. We don't know if Tom Atkins' character managed to rally to stop it. But we do know that Silver Shamrock had the ways and the means to create a supernatural event. Now here's my thought about that too. And Halloween Kills, as Easter eggs, as homages to, they put Silver Shamrock. They mentioned Silver Shamrock in Halloween Kills. We see the logo, we hear the music, we see the little Easter eggs. But in doing that, they acknowledge the fact that Silver Shamrock is in canon. It is in canon. So Silver Shamrock is it is a company. Not necessarily, because we don't know what Silver Shamrock's powers are. We don't really totally get it. I mean, yes, they could have thrown that up there as a disinformation, because remember, they were trying to do all sorts of shady shit. So why not throw something out there as a distraction, as a swerve? But they also showed the Silver Shamrock Company in Halloween Kills. So this is how I look at it. I think they got a hold of Michael Myers after the second film, and I think they created him. I think they did whatever they did to create Michael Myers. That's what they did. It explains so much afterwards why he went from being you could hurt him to where she couldn't hurt him. I mean, every other Halloween movie that has come out, he's either, and he's intelligent. He's very intelligent. I mean, the fact that he was able to substitute another person for him to fool them, put the ambulance driver out there, make sure that he was the one that was killed, not him. That invokes intelligence. Something that Michael Myers really has never done before. I mean, he's always just been walking forward, a straight line, point A to point B. And it explains a few things in Halloween Kills, because they mentioned how did Michael get from point A to point B? I guess he was just he covered an immense. He got to point A to point B very quickly, and this is, well, how the hell did he get there so fast? Well, now we know. We do know. He got there because he has supernatural power now. Whereas 1 and 2, I can understand that. You could sit there and say, well, how did he get from 20 miles away in 15 minutes? Well, of course he couldn't, but he can now, because he is now a supernatural being. He didn't start off as one, but he was created as one. So that's because I mean, when Sandy mentioned that, she mentioned he's both. She's right. It makes absolute sense. It also opens the door too, as we already know the answer to the Halloween ends. Halloween will not end with the next one. It just won't. There's no way. There's no way that they're going to be able to stop him. So I do think that that is going to be a doom ending, a gloomy ending for everybody involved in the next movie. I just don't see it happening. Um, I think he is immortal. I'm hoping that, while I was thinking about this, I was thinking, well, they teased a little bit of the Silver Shamrock Company in Halloween Kills. They teased a little bit of that there, but what if they expound that for the next movie? What if what if they we do find out that he is a true supernatural entity, and he was cursed or blessed or whatever you want to see it by the Silver Shamrock Company. I think it's a fascinating story twist. It reestablishes going forward. If you want to, even if you did want to kill Michael, let's say you did want to kill Michael, but you still brought up the Silver Shamrock Company back into the Halloween Ends, and you reestablished them as a credible entity in the canon. It gives you it gives you room to move forward without necessarily Michael Myers, because the Silver Shamrock Company is there, and that could be your new Halloween enemy. And I think it's a lot of fun to think about that. Uh, yeah, yeah, me too, Rick. But you know what? You know what though? But it makes sense though. I mean, even if Michael Myers was still human, which I do not believe that he is anymore, but even if he was, think about where I mean, Laurie Strode is what, in her 60s? I mean, she was what, 17? I remember Michael Myers was a grown damn man anyway when Laurie Strode encountered him. Okay, so what he was, that was what, 20 years, 20 years of him in the hospital before he broke out. So he was 32 in 1978. Let's just for the say the hell of it, he's 32 in 1978. So now you're adding 40, right? If you're adding the 78, 22, 44 years. So he's 76 years old right now and today. 76. He's not 76. He's not. I think his age was stopped at about 30. However old he was at the end of Halloween 2 is how old he is today. I don't think he's any older than that. No, I don't think he is. And the thing is though, he's not old. But the thing is though, they have to establish the fact how is he remaining basically the same being that he is today as he was in 78. They have never established that. But I think they do have an out. I do. I really do. I think that they can go there and they can bring in the Silver Shamrock Company and establish that they use Michael Myers as experimentation for their bigger experiment, for their bigger maybe for the even for the mask. Maybe before they created the mask, maybe they used their techniques or magic or whatever it is on Michael Myers beforehand. We see him. Like I said, if he was old, Vaz, he'd be 76 years old. He couldn't do anything what he's doing now. There's just no humanly way possible that he'd be able to do that at 76 years old. It's just there's just nothing. There's just no way. But he has not aged. I'm telling you, he's gonna walk away from Halloween. Halloween Ends. I don't know. You know, that's the thing. I think that's part of maybe that's part of the problem with the new trilogy. Maybe that's the fact of the matter is that they have not they didn't establish that, or they have established that, or they planted the seeds for this. I think they planted the seeds for this. But at least you know what though? At least it establishes one thing. I mean, other than what Chucky, I mean, think about it. I mean, everybody else has got their origins, their supernatural origins. We all know how they became who they became, right? Pinhead was a former British Army officer who found the lamentation box. Uh, Chucky did a voodoo spell and became got inside of a doll. Freddy Krueger went to he killed those kids and he went to hell. Jason's going to be an interesting one. I mean, you got to think about that one. That's interesting too. But Jason is supernatural. They established that when they killed him, and then they brought him back to that lightning strike. I mean, I don't think it's maybe necessarily super. I don't know. I don't know if it's supernatural or what, but they did reestablish him. You know, it's sort of a cheesy, bring way of bringing him back, but it works. It does work. I mean, and establish him right then and there as somebody who because he's dead, and then he gets hit by lightning, and he survives a lightning strike. Yeah, that pretty much puts you in the supernatural realm. So it's not exactly the best backstory, Casey. I'll give you that, but it does establish what happens. It's not just like he just keeps going and going and going without any sort of means. But I do think that you could actually make an argument for Michael Myers as having his age. I do think that they did freeze his age at where he was after Halloween 2. Now, how he appears to people is another thing. How does Michael Myers appear to people? Some people he appears as the shape. Some people he appears as different. They see him as different entities. Well, remember too. I'll have to say this though, Rick, for that. I do say back then, '78. They did not have the same. They did not have this. I don't think. Well, I don't think they had the same freedom to do as the gore as they did. I mean, as much as Jaws came out in '76, or hell, even Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in '74, there was a lot of backlash on the violence of those movies. Even Jaws caught it. Jaws got caught a lot, in the violence. So I think they were trying to, you know, stay within a certain realm. I mean, if John Carpenter did Halloween today, you don't think that he would make it more bloodier, more graphic? I certainly do. I just didn't think he. I don't think he felt like he could get away with that back then. It was a little different time. But no, today John Carpenter would. I mean, he would unleash. I think he would. I think if he got a chance to do Halloween today, I think it would look very much like the last two movies. Maybe a better story. Yeah, but where did he become well, okay, Q. He says that beforehand. I don't think that Michael Myers was that beforehand when Loomis had him. I don't think he has. My theory is after Halloween 2, Michael Myers, that's where he became the supernatural shape that we know. I think I my theory is the Silver Shamrock Company found him and they created him. They gave him his power. It's the only way that actually truly makes sense. And it only makes sense, Halloween, like I said, Halloween Kills opened the door to that. Beforehand, you can sit there and say, how did that happen? We don't know how it happened, but I do think we do know how it happened. I don't think it's science. I don't know. It's not science. Uh, All right, man. Who wants to come up and talk about this? I'm gonna drop the link in here. I want someone to come up and let's chop this up a little bit. I'm gonna drop the links down here, and I'll take a couple of you guys up here and let's chop it up because I'm fascinated by it. Listening to Sandy Johnson, it was really interesting. So whoever has a couple of minutes, I don't want to. I'm not going to be here that long, but if anybody wants to come up and talk about it, I do think if John Carpenter did another Halloween movie, if he had the energy or the disposition to do one, I think that he probably would have established that, reestablished that much better. What Loomis said. I mean, Loomis didn't see him as supernatural. He just saw him as something that couldn't be stopped. I think Loomis spoke from the emotional aspect of things. I can understand that as a psychiatrist, and he's sitting there, he's talking to a 12-year-old boy who's grown up and sit there and shows no remorse for what he's done. I can understand that. I mean, look how we talk about our serial killers today. We call them monsters, we call them beasts, we call them animals, we call them all sorts of names. But there's one thing they've all still have in common, no matter what the killer is or does or shape or sex or whatever, and whatever that is. But there's one thing every single serial killer in history has in common, and that is they are human. They are human. And I think so. Of course, Loomis would sit there and of course he would tag him as being evil incarnate and supernatural and all that. I mean, I would too. I looked at you look at someone like Charles Manson or anybody else, and you see him as just abnormally, as an abnormal life force. It's not supposed to be here. It shouldn't have never got here, but he's still human. So I can see Loomis saying that, but I don't think it happened for him until after Halloween 2. Uh, Not necessarily. There's been no, that's not true. I think they come and they can come as guys as human. They can come as guys, but they have been supernatural from the very first. You look at Damien in the Omen. All right.
Cheetah.
Rick. You know, I'm glad you came up. I'm glad you came up for this because you know what? Of all the, you know, I mean, what do you think of my theory, man? I mean, what do you seriously think?
I mean, really, to tell you the truth, you know, you know how I feel about the whole situation. Um, I can't see the chat, man. So if anybody's what's up, everybody? I am on the phone, so I can't see the chat. But yeah, I
I'll bring it
mean,
up.
if yeah, but it's like I asked, so like I was saying, because right now people are like, oh, I love uh, Carpenter's version way better. It's better. You know, and and like I was asking, like, do you think it would be the same no matter, whether it's? I mean, I don't know. It's like, would it be loved the same? Would Carpenter's version be better? Like,
I,
say to me, Carpenter's version is boring. So it's like if zombies were to have
I
come
think
out
it was
first.
boring. I think honestly, and Q mentions here, all supernatural start as human, and yes, and I said that Q that we all know that they're all supernatural. We know their origin story. See, we know how they became all supernatural. We get that, but Michael Myers' origin has never been established about when he became supernatural. He's the only one that hasn't. As far as Damien goes, no, he was the son. He was the son of the devil. He was that from the day one. Rosemary's Baby. Um, you know, there's been some things that have just been established that they're supernatural from the beginning. Um, so I mean, it fits his agenda, but he's always been supernatural. But Michael Myers is the one franchise killer, the one of the Immortals that has never been his origin story, but when he became from human to supernatural, it's never been established until Halloween Kills. That's my theory. That's that And then when Sandy Johnson mentioned that, she goes, "I think he's a little bit of both." It makes sense. It absolutely does. He started off as human. He got to a certain age, and then he stopped. He stopped around what? How old do you think he was? How old do you think he was, Rick? How old do you think he was in Halloween? I mean, he was definitely an adult male by that time. He had to be in his. He was probably in his 30s because he'd been
You
institutionalized
talking
since
about
he was 12.
in the original?
In the original, he was 12 years old, I believe, or in the book.
No, but like when he was grown already.
Huh?
But when he
Yeah.
was grown, is that the age you're asking about?
No, no. With his first kill, he was 12. He's around 10 or
Oh
10 or
yeah, yeah,
11.
yeah.
So,
No, but like
and then
when
he was
he's older in the movie.
in the movie, I think, okay, if you think about it, he was institutionalized for at least 20 years. Okay. I think this is where Loomis came and said that, he's inhuman. He's a, it's evil incarnate. Because I think because he was treating him all those years. And like he said, he never saw any sort of remorse, he's the worst of the worst. He never saw any remorse. Not to say that he was superhuman, but he just didn't have any. He just didn't have any feelings.
Mm.
Uh, Halloween 2, yeah, Halloween 2 is my favorite. As far as the Michael Myers stories, that's my favorite. My favorite Halloween is Halloween 3. But now that I heard about how Halloween Kills, how they established the Silver Shamrock, I know they sit there and say it's an Easter egg or it's a homage, but the simple fact that they introduced it opens up a whole world of possibility. Because it's always fascinated me, like how did he how is he still doing what he's doing? And if you go by the timeline, if you go by the timeline, he's got to be at least you know Laurie Strode is
Hey,
what 60? So I mean she's 60. I mean that Michael Myers would at least be at the very earliest, and this is conservatively, if Laurie Strode was 17 when she first encountered him, he had to be at least 30 to 32 because he had been locked up all that time. So he has 15 years on her. 15. So now here, Halloween Kills, Laurie Strode's in her 60s, late 60s, early 60s, or whatnot, but it still means that Michael Myers is in his 70s, and yet he's moving and grooving like he's 32. That's just not that's not working. It's not working. So where between Halloween 2 and hell, I even go as far as Halloween 2018. It's to reestablish the character as we in the canon. How did he get to be unstoppable? How did he gain his power? That's my theory. My theory is that he was captured after Halloween 2, and he was the Silver Shamrock and boot him. He gave him they created him.
All right. So
Yes,
what you're gonna
exactly,
make
Casey.
me?
Exactly. Michael Myers is forever 32 or 30, wherever however age he was that didn't have Halloween 2. It's how old he is today. I agree with that.
You're gonna make me go rewatch their movies, man. You know,
Yep, I'm telling you, it's interesting, man. It's a really because to me it's like okay, and and she's right, and
tension.
Sandy's right too. Look, Halloween ends, everybody and their grandmother is going to go see that movie, so they're going to propel it forward. But how are they going to do it? How could they do it? I mean, you could kill him in theory. You could sit there and say he could be killed. I don't think he will. He won't die. Halloween ends. I think Halloween
And,
ends, and it's gonna see Laurie Strode die. I've changed my mind on that. I think she will die. I think she will die, or they'll
at
die
this
together,
point, I just want them
or
to
they'll
make
die
good
together,
movies.
or they'll die. I mean,
Make
look at
good
the fact.
movies.
I mean, and if you have any doubts about him being a supernatural killer now, which I don't, um, even the beginning of Halloween ends or Halloween Kills, where he walks through that fire without any damage. I mean, come on, seriously? Michael Myers in 1978 would not be able to walk through fucking fire like that. Okay, he wouldn't be able to walk through that in Halloween 2 either, because he showed that he could be hurt. He could have been stuck. The best chance to stop Michael Myers would have been in Halloween 1 or Halloween 2. But after that, in Halloween 4 and onward, he always shows supernatural ability and
Hey,
intelligence.
I tell you what. If I was in the first Halloween movie, it'd have been a short movie. Just
Yeah,
his
I
ass.
would have just, hell yeah. Shit, I know exactly what happened to Michael Myers if you were there. You just would open the door and Michael Myers would have been killed by all the spuds.
Yeah. And don't forget the kitties, man.
Q mentioned he has a theory on my channel I put up a year ago on Halloween 3 and Michael Myers. I'm gonna have to grab that from you, Q, to throw in the description box. I'm gonna watch that, especially if you think the same way I'm thinking.
I have to watch
Uh,
them for me to
I don't
think
think
anything
Halloween
else
2.
about these damn
You know what
movies.
though? I don't think Halloween 2 is wiped from the timeline. I don't think so. I think it picks up. Um, okay, it says here Michael was 6 years old. God, I want to say maybe in the book it had him a little older. Okay, so that even proves my point even more so. So 6 years old. I thought he was a little older than that, but you know what though, Q. Here's the thing about that. I don't really believe that because he showed vulnerability. Yes, I know it's very confusing because he got shot 6 times in the chest, yet Laurie Strode put a coat hanger in his eye and he reacted in pain. So that sort of takes the 6 shots away. And I mean, it's sort of like it's bad continuity. You know, It's like sort of like Superman, he can move a planet, and yet he can be stopped by a small piece of rock. I don't
Now,
think they. I don't know. I don't know if they made it up as they went. I just think they're. I think for their story wise, they're trying to, they're trying to make him. When they looked at, by think about it too, though, Vaz, all the other franchises were moving forward at the same time Halloween was too. So they saw what the other franchises had to do to stay relevant. They made their killers supernatural and unstoppable. So I do think that they had to do that as well, but uh, uh, but they just never showed us how they did it. They never did. We know the origins of everybody else. We know how they got to. We know how they became unstoppable. But Michael Myers is his that part of his story has never been told. Yeah, he he still walks away with 6 shots, and yet he got his eyeball poked. Yet he got poked in the eye, and he acted like it was the end of the world. That always made me
I
laugh. That
remember
always
that.
fucking made me laugh. Um, or Buster Rhymes. So, what do you think, Rick? I mean, here, let me ask you a question. With oops, let me ask you a question, Rick, because you handle the extreme horror. I mean, if you would have did the Halloween story, how would you have done it? How would you have made Michael Myers into unstoppable machine? What origin would, if you could do an origin for Michael Myers, what would it be?
Shit.
Or I should say, not origin necessarily, but evolution. How would you evolve him from going from a sick from a kid killing a sister to where he is today? How would you have done that?
Die and spit up a worm and go into someone else's body and then go into outer space.
Um, you never thought of it as human. Yeah, but he was human. That's the thing. When he started out, Baz, he was human. I do believe that. There's never anything to indicate that he was nothing but.
I'm reading, I can see them, but I have to go to another screen.
Okay. John saying in Halloween 3 there were microchips in the mask that also revealed their Silver Shamrock created androids. I do believe it was a little bit more than just androids, and for that, obviously, obviously. I mean, you look at Halloween 3. There's just no way they weren't fooling with shenanigans there.
So where's the cheetah at?
He is sleeping. No, no, I think he's soloring. I think he's downstairs soloring. I thought he'd be up here, but no. So, what do you think, Rick? I mean, if you were John Carpenter, I mean, how would you reestablish Michael as a supernatural killer from a human one? How do you think he got where he is today? And more importantly, Rick, do you think that? I mean, obviously, this the franchise is not going to end. It's
But
not going
but
to end. I mean, I think Laurie Strode's story will end. I can't see Jamie Lee Curtis going beyond this, to do any more. I just don't. Um, but uh, but how do you think they're going to carry it on with him?
you know what? I To tell you the truth, I really know nothing about the damn movies like to really like no to really like really even think of it about where to go, you know? So it's like I'm not really a fan of the franchise, but I do like Michael Myers as a killer. I think he's fucking awesome. But I just don't like the
Thanks,
movie
you.
really. The movies. So like
You know,
I'm not here and sound crazy. I think I need to watch these movies and then I can talk about them more. But I just know that the first I did not like it. But maybe because I watched zombies first. I
Yeah,
watched.
yeah. I'm just, it just like last couple of days, it's just like I'm like, yeah, it does make sense. It's like he has to be both.
It's weird though. Like I don't know, shit. It's just like
But I just want to see how he became. I mean, we know that he is, but I want to know is the story how he
so.
became who he was. How did he go from human to super?
So,
Because that's
so he
like
is.
I said that before. It's like we have no way of knowing that. We have no way of knowing how he became, unstoppable. And every other major character we do know. We do know. We know how it happened, but we
But isn't
don't
that
know him.
kind of like Jason too, right? He was a boy, and
Jason
then
was
all of a
Jason.
sudden he
Yeah, I think Jason was. Fuck.
huh,
Jason
it's
was.
like the same shit.
I think Jason
It's
was.
just
I think he was human until the one where he wasn't, and then he got hit by. He got brought back by lightning, and I mean they killed him. They're burying him. I mean he was dead. They're burying him. There was and then he got hit by the lightning strike, and there's this origin. He woke up. He became imbued with the power. Though some could argue that's not supernatural ability. That's more like a freak of nature. That sort of thing. I mean, it could be like, okay, how that happened or why did it happen? I mean, there's several heroes and villains that they've gotten powers that way, through lightning strikes or through chemicals or whatever. I mean, so I don't know if Jason. I would call Jason like a supernatural being. I definitely think he got more like he got more like abilities. You know, so weird as it sounds. Uh,
well.
we don't know that. We only know we don't really know that. Obviously, he did not drown as a kid. That's the thing. We know now that he did not drown.
What if a bear dragged him out of the pond and revived him or something like
Well, I,
that?
I just think what if he didn't drown at all? What if he just swam to shore, and just because I mean think about that. I mean we don't really we don't obviously he couldn't have just if he was a kid when he drowned. How did he get to be his normal size? How did he get to be the size that he is now? It's like okay, and he wasn't. If you think about it, when they established Jason in the first movie, he was a scrawny. I mean, it was in the dream sequence. He was just a really scrawny kid. Looked like a mutant. So I don't.
Yeah,
We don't really know that either. We don't know. We don't. I personally think he probably swam to the shore. We don't know enough of his backstory. I mean, we saw his mother. His mother was batshit crazy. And
yeah.
I have a feeling I have a feeling the mom was probably batshit crazy all along. Yeah, see, birth of zombie Jason. There you go. So that's where he got hit by the lightning strike in part six. So I mean, and we saw that. We saw him regenerate many times after that. Freddy versus Jason, Jason X. Any movie that came past six, he was able to regenerate.
I have to rewatch all that shit, man. I haven't really watched something, and if it doesn't grab me, I just forget about the whole shit, you know. And but yeah, I need to watch those again. It's been a while, so
Well,
I'll be checking those out soon.
I can't say this. I'll say this now because I was going to hold on to this, but I'll say it now. But uh, for the Midnight Society, this kicking off on Sunday, or we have a show this Sunday on the 20th, but our official show on the 20th. But on the 27th, the Midnight Society is going to start a retrospective on Friday the 13th. So we are going to go
Huh.
back into it and start digging into it. And that's what what's that one? Oh, Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Oh yeah. Hey, it's
Uh,
delayed a bit, isn't it?
uh,
Is it? Is my internet acting up?
yeah, it's a little glitchy.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Let me go ahead and we'll go ahead and call it at that. It was cool getting on here to talk with you a little bit and bullshit with you. You know me, I'm
Always,
always cut
always.
up. You know, I like to
Yeah.
cut up, man.
Oh
That's
yeah,
how I
that's
get
what I did.
down.
I thought I'm going to come on here. I'm going to talk for about an hour or so about this. And then I want to throw that out to people, and then I want to come back and revisit it. You know?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. So
All right, then. Hey,
I'm
well,
going to go
it
ahead and
was good
see if
talking
I can
with you.
find Q's video about his Michael Myers Halloween 3 connection, because I think if that's what he's done, if he's established that connection, that is the connection. That is the connection. And I think they need to revisit that for Halloween Ends. They need to go back to it.
Well, we'll see what happens with these movies, man. And check out
Yeah.
that review. So,
I know. What happened to Freddy's Nightmares? Ella, Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
all right,
All right, Rick, man. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity too to just to end this, but I just want to throw that out there about Michael Myers. So give us a thumbs up, and more importantly for this one, I want to hear you guys' comments down below. I want you to tell me what you guys think about this, and if you have your own theories, about Michael Myers, I want you to put that in the comments too, because we'll be coming back and revisiting this. So uh,
hey,
yeah, I want you guys to do that. So watch the show, then come back with your own ideas, your own thoughts. Drop a comment down below, and maybe we'll do another pop up next week, and we'll go over the comments and chop it up a little bit more, see what people think. If you haven't seen the interview with Sandy Johnson, that is up on my channel too. So feel free to watch that and drop a comment too. It was a delightful interview and very insightful. So um, Sandy Johnson played Judith Myers in the first Halloween. So yeah, go ahead and drop it. All right, Rick, man, you and I are both going to be out of here. Thanks to my chat, man. You guys are rocking. Thanks again, Bones, for showing up with the wrench.
all right, Mr. Cheetah. Peace.
Peace. All right, kids. We'll see you tonight on the Super Slash Brothers for their Texas Chainsaw Massacre watch. Peace.